Today on the spot, we declare May to be Video Game History Month, and to celebrate, we'll be taking a look at some of the most notable events in video game history. We've also got a look at the combat in Fable 3, a demo for Art Styles Light Tracks, and an exclusive trailer for Alpha Protocol. Of course, it wouldn't be Thursday without This Week on Xbox Live, and we've also got a little teaser for E3. Today on the spot.
Hello everybody, welcome to Today on the Spot. It is Thursday, May 6th, and I'm your host, Kevin Van Ord. Seated next to me is the great Chris Waters.
Great? Oh, now I'm gonna get all blushy. That's a little too much.
Seated next to me is the lame Chris Waters.
Lame. That's how it's gonna be. If it's not great, it's lame. There's no middle ground.
Seated next to me is the pretty okay Chris Waters.
I'll take it. Let's move the show along. All right. What do we got?
All right, well also pretty okay is I'm growing out my facial hair, did you notice?
I did notice it's getting thicker by the day.
Yeah, I haven't shaved since the last show. I did shave the noggin.
Yeah, trim up top and then coming in bushy.
It's a good look.
Not quite bushy, you're getting there.
Also a good look is this book over here. You know we're giving that away?
That's a book. Those are tall, and they say The Art of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney on the side.
Absolutely. So our viewers will want to stay tuned for the rest of the show so they can win one of these.
Yeah.
There's also other stuff going on besides my facial hair, though, and that is great gaming news this week. So let's go to the news desk and see what's going on.
Hey everyone, it's your GameSpot news update for Thursday, May 6th. I'm Tor Thorson. So how popular is the Wii? Nintendo just released its annual earnings report, revealing the little console that could has now sold nearly 71 million units as of March 31st. By comparison, Microsoft had sold just over 40 million Xbox 360s as of the end of March, despite having a full year head start on the Wii. Sony reported the PlayStation 3 had sold 33.5 million units as of the end of last year, although new figures will be available next Thursday. As for the DS, the once mocked double-screen portable has silenced all critics by becoming the most popular handheld platform of all time. Sales of the 4 DS models now total nearly 129 million units, with over 27 million being sold in the last year alone. Of those, almost 18 million were DSIs and 2 million were DSi XLs. Nintendo's software numbers were even more impressive. Wii game sales now top 544 million units, with another 165 million units in sales forecast for the current year. Life-to-date DS software sales now surpass 718 million units, with another 150 million in sales forecast for the 12 months ending March 31st, 2011. Military shooter fans looking for an alternative to Modern Warfare 2 marked their calendars this week when EA announced the release date of the new Medal of Honor, which is simply titled Medal of Honor. The reboot of the series, which will take it outside World War II for the first time, will go on sale in North America on October 12th and Europe on October 15th. The PS3, 360, and PC game will follow U.S. Special Forces operations during and after the 2001 invasion of Afghanistan. Developer EA LA said it is shooting for realism with the game, something that Infinity Ward definitely did not with Modern Warfare 2. I mean, nukes in space? I mean, someone was trying to out Tom Clancy. Well, that's it, your GameSpot news update for Thursday, May 6th. For more headlines, head on over to news.gamespot.com.
Another great update from the news team, and now it's on to a different kind of update. This week on Xbox Live.
This week on Xbox Live, Arcade serves up an old-school classic shooter with Ray Storm HD. You control the R-Gray, a fighter plane equipped with a lock-on laser system, and battle your way through 8 stages. In the Games on Demand section, Brothers in Arms Hell's Highway comes your way for $29.99. Players are dropped into the largest World War II airborne operation, Operation Market Garden. Another Ubisoft title available this week is Prince of Persia. Priced at $19.99, players will walk the path of a young warrior caught between the forces of good and evil. Defy a dark god and heal an ancient Persian kingdom of a deadly dark plague to save the world. EA Black Box offers up more skateboard action with Skate 2. Also going for $19.99, you'll be tasked with rebuilding your career and reviving the new Sandvan skate scene with more tricks and the new ability to move objects and create skate spots. This week's game demos will have you stepping into the octagon with UFC 2010 Undisputed. Relive the matchups between Shogun and Machida or Rashad and Rampage with new cage mechanics and submission switches. If you get tired of punching dudes in the face, get behind the wheel and split second. The arcade racer set within the universe of a mega-budget primetime reality TV show. Contestants race to be the first across the finish line in a made-for-TV city built for destruction. The launch trailer for Remedy Games' third-person action game Alan Wake is also available this week in game videos. Fans itching for more Mass Effect 2 can download the Equalizer pack in the game add-on section. New equipment and missions are available for 160 Microsoft points to continue your adventure even after the main story is complete. Those are your updates. Tune in every Thursday to find out what's new this week on Xbox Live.
So Chris, I have two incredibly important questions for you.
All right, it's go time.
Number one, what should I do about my facial hair?
Let it ride.
I can do that.
Just let it ride.
I can do that.
All right, we got one more.
Well, that's one. But number two is, what's better than the future or the present?
There's a lot of conceivable answers here, but I'm going to use like the SAT training to like choose the most likely answer. I think you're going for the past.
Ding, 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 ding. That is right. Yes. And I brought it up for a reason.
College. All right, lay it on me.
Well, it so happens that we're working on this grand feature regarding the history of video games. Do you know that May is Video Game History Month?
Not only do I know that, I know all about, we got features coming every week. We're covering industry luminaries, we're covering consoles, events, games, the whole thing. So the feature's got to look at all the stuff we're covering on the site this week, including a look at Nolan Bushnell.
Yeah, some Street Fighter stuff in there as well.
That's true.
So if you want to know more, let's head over and take a look at our first feature on the history of video games.
With the release of Street Fighter II: The World Warriors, Capcom clearly defined the term fighting game, and subsequently helped build an entire genre, dominating both the arcade and home video game markets for years. Today we briefly explore the origins of the series and track its progress over the years, which have culminated recently with the release of Street Fighter IV and Super Street Fighter IV. To start, let's turn back the clock to 1987, with the series' first entry aptly titled Street Fighter, which was Capcom's first attempt.
If it wasn't for Street Fighter, like, the fighting game industry just wouldn't be where it's at today. Like, that's you can't deny that.
The worldwide hunger for Pac-Man quickly went beyond the video arcades. The iconic yellow character began to show up everywhere, in breakfast cereals, on lunchboxes, clothing and toys everywhere, and even on Saturday morning cartoons.
Something that a lot of people, maybe younger people remember from The Simpsons, like right around 1989, where basically you could get Bart Simpson, anything brand of Simpsons. It was like, Pac-Man was like that. You get Pac-Man pasta, you get Pac-Man cereal, you get Pac-Man telephone.
It was a thing back in the day.
I probably owned like a lunchbox or a pencil case for school or something like that.
I had a Pac-Man Pez dispenser.
Yeah, I remember it just being kind of just market overload. Like I said, it was like The Simpsons in in the early 90s. It was like you get anything.
I had a little bit of an addiction, a little bit of a problem.
There was in my house the Pac-Man Fever album.
The tour de force of Pac-Man craziness, which was that song. It was like, really? Like, I know video games were new and cool and everything back then, and people just getting into them and finding them. But Pac-Man Fever, like, that sounded like a bad idea from the start.
One of the most horrible things to come out of Pac-Man Fever, other than that god-awful song, was the cartoon. And what struck me most about the cartoon is, why does Pac-Man have a hat?
The plot of which each week revolved around, how do we get power pellets and kill the ghosts? It was like a bad Scooby-Doo episode.
Because that cartoon's kind of violent. Like, if you go back and watch that now, and it's on like Netflix, so you totally can. That thing is kind of raw.
It was kind of disturbing.
It's like those dudes are chasing that dude, and then he gets the thing, and then he goes and like eats him.
And like Pac-Man is just suddenly all.
Well, looking back on that cartoon now, it's kind of hard.
In 1977, Atari revolutionized home entertainment by releasing the Atari VCS. Never before had a home video game console been so successful as to become a household name.
The Atari VCS was a very, very limited computer. It had 128 bytes of memory. That's really, really nothing. And everything had to be computed on the fly, and it was difficult to program, but it was highly flexible.
Before then, you had things like the Magnavox Odyssey and Fairchild Channel F and some more obscure game systems, I think, and those were pretty much driven by a handful of games.
My name is Nolan Bushnell, and I am a serial entrepreneur. I started a company called Atari many years ago.
Discover Atari. And discover how far you can go.
Started for me at the University of Utah in the computer lab. And I saw a game that was programmed by Steve Russell from MIT called Space War. And I was mesmerized by it, and it was just something that I couldn't get enough of. And then I graduated and sort of went off to make a living. I did a game called Computer Space and licensed it to a company. This was in 1970. And it was medium successful. I mean, it made a couple $1 million, and it gave me a big enough royalty stream that I was able to start what became Atari. The name of the company was Syzygy at the time. People couldn't say it or spell it, so we changed the name. We were working on a driving game, and I hired a new engineer, and who's Al Alcorn, who in some ways is the father of Pong, as a research project to get him up to speed. And the technology turned out the game we did was very fun, and as they say, the rest is history.
Simply more fun and games.
Chris, you played Fable and Fable 2, if I recall correctly.
Accurate. That is so accurate. I played that a lot. I profess my love for the land of Albion. It's a beautiful place, and I can't wait to go back there. I'm getting psyched for Fable 3.
You know, Fable 3 does have some cool elements. You know, one of them is touching.
Yeah, I've heard about that. But I'm more interested in, like, what if I want to touch someone with a bullet from my gun? Or, like, the pointy end of my sword? Is that morbid? Is that frightening you? I don't care.
I need to get out of here.
So, well, Kevin flees from my martial tendencies. We're going to throw it over to our second of the 3 Fable 3 interviews we got this week. This one focusing on combat with the lead designer, Josh Atkins.
When you think about power in a core game mechanical sense, I think the word power means not invincibility, but strength. It means, you know, feeling like as I'm mowing through enemies, I am the greatest warrior in the land. It's hugely important to feel successful. I think that's a big part of the way we approach the game, that we want you to feel like you could defeat anything that comes up against you, because you are the warrior king or queen. You are the hero. You are the last hero. And so feeling powerful in combat is a big part of that. When we started Fable 2, we had this ambition of super accessible one-button combat. And I think we came close to hitting our ambition. And I think with every game, there's always something you want to improve, and there's always something that you're kind of forced to ship, and you feel like, God, I really want to do that better. And at the end of Fable 2, we were happy with what we had, but we knew we could make it better. And so some of the stuff we've done is we said, okay, we don't want to lose the accessibility. We want to keep the one-button combat. But we want to make it feel better. We want to make it feel more fluid. So the first step is to talk about what does fluidity mean? It means being able to be swinging your sword and then immediately pull the gun out and shoot somebody, and even shoot somebody that's behind you. And then while the gun's out, shoot a spell the other direction. Feeling like your character is incredibly powerful and incredibly fluid. That was the first thing. So we went from there and we said, all right, we can achieve that. We can achieve that by adding more animations. We can achieve that by looking at kind of how we think about the controller. But then we started getting into, okay, how are we going to make, if Fable 3 is all about power, and we keep saying that to ourselves, it's all about power. Fable 3 is about feeling powerful. Then what else can we do? And we looked at, okay, let's think about finishing moves, and let's think about adding more variety of animation. So in Fable 2 we had what we called the crescendo system, and that was pretty cool. It gave you lots of cool cutaways and cool camera moments, and the better you fought, the more you saw them. And we've taken that and notched that up quite heavily so that you see a lot more variation of movement. And as your hero is leveling up, and as your weapon is leveling up, you will see your hero becoming more and more powerful, doing more and more fantastic things, morphing in more extreme ways. And as they morph, they're doing more exceptional moves, knocking enemies further away. You'll see, more and more interesting bludgeoning death, more and more interesting magic spells, casting and guys evaporating and, shooting people in exciting and decapitating ways. Probably the most interesting thing we've done with the Sword Magic gun trio is that we've actually added this thing called morphing weapons. And again, because we want to question assumptions, we don't really want to do the same things everybody else has done. And also we want to kind of keep it interesting to ourselves. When we started talking was, hey, do we really want to build 200 more swords? Really? Do we really want to put 200 more swords in shops? Well, it's kind of what everybody else does. We've kind of done that already. So what we started talking about was this idea of weapons that are as unique as you, the player, are. And the way that works is when you start Fable 3, you will get a weapon. You actually get 4 weapons. I'll leave that, which 4 is a bit of a mystery. But you get 4 weapons you can choose from. And as you're using those weapons, they will change. So the more enemies I kill, the larger the weapon will get. The types of enemies I kill will change the filigree, it'll change the texture, it'll change the color, it'll change the sound. It will change multiple aspects of the weapon. It will give it new attributes. So if I've been really the super hob massacrer guy, I will get a sword that is got extra abilities against hobs, but also looks different than your sword if you've gone and defeated a ton of Balverines. If I've been really evil and done something really horrible stuff, then my sword will become darker and more evil looking and will eventually drip with blood and have, growl when I take it out. Versus if I've been really good, it'll be, be the angelic singing sword. So we're still planning to try to get all of that in there and give you those sorts of experiences that are very unusual and very unlike what other games have done. I'm Josh Atkins, lead game designer of Fable 3, and you can expect to see the game this holiday.
That's right, everybody. It is daily demo time, and right now we're going to check out a little game called Art Style Light Tracks, courtesy of our art style editor, Brian Eckberg.
That's right. I am the art style editor. I want to make sure I get this right because this game has several names. It's Art Style Light Tracks. It's a WiiWare game coming for Wii.
That's one.
But it had its origins as a GBA game released in Japan. They had a series of games called Bit Generation.
Okay.
They had all sorts of different games. This game in 2006 was known as Dot Stream. Now it's changed into Art Style Light Tracks.
It's reborn with technology that you could only find in 2010.
That's right, but the basic premise of the game hasn't changed much at all. You play as it's basically a racing game.
Okay.
So if you're not racing cars or bikes or anything, you're racing as a little beam of light here. And you race as the white line, and you're racing the yellow, the orange, and all the other colors that you see. And you race along these sort of 2D planes that you can steer around. But it's not 3D in the sense that basically as you race along this track, the track moves and you steer along with it. All you can do is change lanes within this track.
Oh,
and that becomes pretty important because no 2 lines can occupy the same lane.
Oh, all right.
So there's an element of strategy there. The other element of the game is that there's a sense of drafting to this game. So when you run side by side to another line, you can pick up, you can build your turbo boost, and you can use the turbo to go a little bit faster for a certain period of time. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. The controls in the game are, you play it with the Wii remote held, horizontally, and the 2 button, I believe, is the accelerator, the 1 button is the brake. You change lanes with the D-pad, left or right or up or down, depending on how you're oriented currently on the screen.
Yeah.
And when you have enough boost, you can press the A button to boost. So there's a couple of different modes. We have a race mode. What we're looking at currently here is freeway mode.
Freeway mode?
This is a little bit different. This isn't technically a race. This is, it's almost like a time trial.
Okay.
You're trying to see how far you can get in the time allotted. And by passing other lines, like you see up ahead, we see some lines ahead of us. By passing them, you'll add time to your overall time and be able to stay on the freeway more. And there's also right here we're at an exit, so you could potentially get off there and go to an entirely new level. On the left-hand side is it's almost like the concept of shifting gears. The further you get up that meter, the faster you're going. So when you first start off, you're going really slow, and it's hard to pass these other light beams. But as you start getting going, you'll gain speed and you'll be able to pass more things and add more time to your total time. So it's pretty fun. It's a WiiWare game. There's not a lot to say about it except this is pretty straightforward stuff. It's coming out the second quarter of 2010.
Brian, any question about this game I could have possibly had, you answered all of them just now.
I'm trying to help you out, man.
You're doing my job for me.
That's why they call me the art style editor.
Frankly, I feel a little bit threatened about my job security right now. All right, Brian, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Everybody, as you know, it's May already, which means that E3 is right around the corner. I know that we here at GameSpot could not be more excited, and I know you guys probably feel the same way. So to help build that up, we put together this little video about E3 that we're about to show you, but first, first, we're going to have a look at an exclusive trailer for Alpha Protocol. Let's take a look.
The key to stealth is timing. You're skilled at keeping a low profile. Very impressive. Time to make an exit.
You fight like an animal, and you are not even cornered.
You seem to bring out the worst in me.
The assault rifle's the key. It's accurate, powerful. Equip the pistol, then aim down range. Loud and clear, no problems.
Hands up. My apologies for underestimating you.
It's hard to believe that a year has already gone by, and E3 is always kind of exciting and scary at the same time because you kind of don't know what to expect sometimes.
The time between E3 never feels like a year to me. It always feels like when you're in the moment, E3, the week of E3 seems to take a small eternity and an instant at the same time, but the time between always goes by quick. Before you know it, E3 is back again.
This is the second year that E3 is back to the old E3, so it's going to be nice. Last year was a big success. It was like 41,000 attendees, so I'm very excited to see how they build that momentum. It's kind of really nice seeing this kind of be, the kind of shining city on a hill of the U.S. game industry, which it once was, because after 2 years of being, nothing, it's really great seeing it back. So I'm excited to see it back in full force again.
I think this E3 is going to be when Sony and Microsoft really set the tone for what they're trying to do with their motion controls for the rest of the year.
The big question about Natal has always been, can they pull this off? Can this actually can you actually play a game effectively without a controller? I mean, you can play simple games like knocking balls, but is this going to translate to a shooter? Is there going to be some kind of, use a control and Natal? That's kind of the big question that's going to come out of E3 right now.
Probably the game that I am most looking forward to right now is The Last Guardian.
Last Guardian, let's talk about that.
Last Guardian?
Need to play Last Guardian.
It's the big PlayStation 3 exclusive from Team Ico. I love their last game, Shadow of the Colossus. We don't really know a whole lot about it yet. We've seen screens, we've seen trailers, but the game, it looks really cool. It looks pretty similar to Shadow of the Colossus.
Really want to see how sad that game is, because there's only one way that game can end, and that's with the Griffin dying. That's just it.
I'm just really eager to see what they've got up their sleeve.
I'm hopefully going to be able to, play some Gears of War 3.
I'm really excited for Gears of War 3. I was a big fan of the first two. Unlike some people, I actually care about the story and I want to know what happens. So, I wish there were more co-op shooters the way Gears is. So I'm really looking forward to that.
As for other games I'm really excited about, Gears 3, of course. Can't wait for that. I'm a huge Gears of War fan. I've read the books, I've played the games, I know the universe pretty well, so I'm curious to see what's going to be happening. I'm curious, like the mechanics of what you're going to be able to do in combat are really cool. That's all fine, but I'm like curious how they're going to end this story. Supposedly this is the third game in a trilogy, so maybe this is the last chapter of the Gears of War series. I love the characters, I love the story so far. I'm curious to see how it's going to end up.
Chris, you're a literate man.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I pride myself on my literacy.
But even if you were not a literate man, you could open this beautiful book and see pretty pictures.
That's true. It's trivia time, folks. We're giving away these Phoenix Wright art books. Ace Attorney business, you can see. Look, there's a guy wearing a hat. This is a lady. There's all sorts of people from the Phoenix Wright saga in here.
All right, guys, so if you want to win this, here is the trivia question. Who was the creator of the Blue Badger? Now, if you think you know the answer, all you have to do is email us at onthespot@gamespot.com, or you can use that little green button over to the side that says Answer Trivia and let us know what you think the answer is there. And that gives you a chance to win one of these 2 beautiful books. You don't even need to know how to read to enjoy them. Chris, all good things must come to an end.
It's true, and this show is no exception.
Yep, but the good news is there's always more Today on the Spot goodness to come.
That is accurate.
And I think this Saturday we've got some cool stuff to look at. Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Demo. I'm hoping to see Cloud Hat, Mario, maybe some Yoshi action. Got my fingers crossed.
Always. Plus we've got some Fable 3 stuff. There's a 3rd interview with Peter Molyneux.
That's right, our final of 3 interviews for Fable 3. And don't forget to check out our Lost Planet 2, now playing, that aired yesterday. Tom McShay and Sean McInnes taking you through some of that game. Pretty cool stuff.
Sadly, that does bring the show to a close, but be on the lookout on Saturday. We'll be seeing you soon. Thanks to Chris Waters for joining me.
Thank you, Kevin.
I'm Kevin Van Ord, and until next time, adieu.
And the third of our final Fable 3 final interview. We got new games on demand. We got new something or else or other. I don't know what it is, but you're going to find out.